we have been shortchanged by Congress. Our court system doesn't work. Law enforcement's on the verge of becoming federalized, and many, many other things. And this is the last chance to work within the system. If either of these two things don't get passed, not legislated, we get serious, serious problems, because there's only one way to solve the problem after that, and we don't want to have to go through another American Revolution.
Well, our telephone number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, or 464-8295. Let's go to D, who's calling from Illinois. What part of Illinois are you calling from, D?
It would be Quad Cities, Moline, Rock Island. It's Iowa and Illinois bordering each other. It's where the Mississippi River turns west and east, but it's still listed as northward.
All right, fine. Are you listening on shortwave or the internet?
I'm on shortwave.
Okay, very good. Do you have a question for our guest?
Sure. At the end there, Bob kind of said what I was getting into or thinking about. I'm afraid. I don't know how afraid, but the American Revolution, I think, is going to have to take place, Bob, because and Dr. Stan was talking about how these are moving offshore. This is what the red flags went up for me way back when, 29 years ago. Ronald Reagan was ushered in, and with that, to me, was ushered in a complete conspiracy, concerted at that, with a bunch of them. And, Ronald Reagan, as one of the things the red flags went up, he was giving taxpayer money to move private businesses offshore. And if that, not just the idea of the public having to pay for it, but I mean spilling our doom, I mean that sends up all kinds of red flags, and it's still going on as we speak, and I don't see how it's going to stop unless we have, like aforementioned, a American Revolution. That's what we've got to do.
No, D, we have to get people to understand what's going on. You can't change the government by any means at all unless you have the people behind you. And right now, most people don't understand. We have a little clique that runs this government. They work, of course, through many organizations, but the most obvious ones, the Trilateral Commission. And it is not by accident that between 1976 and 2008, every president and or vice president was a member of the Trilateral Commission. In fact, according to David Rockefeller's memoirs, which we do carry, Ronald Reagan invited the Trilateral Commission into the White House for a special little party. He knew that they controlled him. He simply did what he was told and let George Bush run the White House, just like George Bush let Dick Cheney run the White House, George Herbert Walker Bush's son. So, but we have to educate the people. There is no way that you and I can stand up against people with automatic weapons and all the sophisticated electronic devices they have. We have to educate the people, and you've got to help us.
Well, I know a few things, but I won't get into them. But I see us, just to put it succinctly, I guess, I think we're all Palestinians in waiting. And it's just been a practice thing going on. And for the life of me, I don't know how we're going to get these entrenched people out. They know how to run these airplanes, and these ones that carry these bombs have been practicing all over the world. I think probably I don't know what to do. Like you say, we've got to let the people know. But I think most of the people, it's almost plain as the nose on your face at this late date. And I'm not sure, who's going to start this. I don't see it. They didn't steal all this money to give it back to us.
Well, let's just get Bob's thoughts on that. Bob,
sure.
How would you respond to D?
Well, like we've said before, Stan, we got to work within the system as long as we can. And as I said, this is our last shot at it. And if it doesn't work, then we got to be thinking of alternatives. And yes, a lot of people have been told, and they don't listen. And that's human nature. You're going to find that in history, and you're going to find it in every country. And they will respond two ways. Number one, they get shot at, or number two, the house is gone, the cars are gone, the job's gone, and the food's all gone. and the kids are screaming, and now we got to do something. And so it'll happen with different people in different ways, but it's going to happen if we're not successful, and that's why I'm doing 30, 35, 40 programs a week. Like today I'm on 8 programs. Tomorrow I get 8 programs, and I still write the forecaster. And we've got to give it a shot.
You bet.
I don't want to be in the streets.
Well, remember, Dee, that this is a spiritual battle, and so work as if it's up to us and pray as if it's up to God. God bless them. Thanks so much for calling. And
you're welcome.
Our telephone number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, or 464-8295. If you have a question for Bob Chapman of the International Forecaster, but we're entering very difficult times. Certainly, we're probably going to have somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million people are going to lose their homes this year. Certainly, the unemployment is going to continue to increase. They're lying to us. Many of our major retail stores are going to be shutting down here. More of our manufacturing is going to be shutting down. This is going to be a disaster year right now. Why, of course, they tell us we have 8.9% unemployment, but they're lying. What is the real unemployment rate, Bob?
Well, I get three rates, and the youth three we won't go into. The short term is the one you're talking about, the 8.9. There's the U6, which is the real unemployment rate, which is the short term, plus the people who are no longer receiving state unemployment benefits, and then the group with beyond that, which are discouraged workers, people who have just given up and saying, I can't get a job, I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to go on welfare. And so those 3 categories, and this is government figures, 16.2% unemployment. John Williams and I, John's at 19.8, and I'm at 19.2%. And so that's what real unemployment is.
That's
between
called
19 and 20.
That is called U2 unemployment, isn't that right?
That's U6.
U6. Okay, go ahead.
U3 is the long-term one, which dates back to 1990.
All right, fine. So basically unemployment's far worse than they're letting us know, but then they're doing everything they can to confuse us with statistics. In one place you'll read the foreclosure rate, and then, of course, another place you'll read an entirely different foreclosure rate. One place you'll read, what percentage of the homes today, homeowners, are underwater. Another, and the same day you can read a different article, and they put in a number of different numbers there, intentionally to confuse people, so we get cognitive dissonance. We just can't understand anything because we're fed so much conflicting information, and they know exactly how to distort the minds and realities of the American people. They are masters of deceit.
Well, that figure right now purportedly is 20% people who have homes which are worth less than what they owe on them. That figure is going to go to 40 or 50% here. I'm safe with 40, and that'll happen over the next couple of years. And it may be as high as 50. And these are better quality loans. 50% of the people who had subprimes lost their homes. And I predicted that, incidentally, in November of 2004. And when I predicted the top of the market, which was between June and December of 2005, and for the first markets like San Diego and places like that, I was right on. And my percentages of decrease were almost perfect up until recently, and Gary Schilling said it's going to be even worse than my projection, so I hope not. It's bad enough as it is.
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens tomorrow when, of course, the vote is taken on whether or not the taxpayers here in California want to pay more taxes so that the people who work for the state can keep pulling down their fantastic salaries, and many of them do get exorbitant salaries. I mean, they're paying the heads of the universities $500,000 a year saying, we have to pay that much. We can't get such good people. Well, look at what they're doing with our universities. universities. They're turning out people. What do you see them on Leno? On the jaywalkers. A lot of these people don't even know who's buried in Grant's tomb. This is the great tragedy of our universities and educational system. And I think an awful lot of people are going to vote against higher taxes to maintain a bloated state bureaucracy and a bloated state establishment. But if that goes down and it doesn't pass, there are going to be serious consequences for the 7th largest economy in the entire world. That's what California is. If we're an independent nation, why it would be the 7th largest economy in the world? And what happens if suddenly they're facing bankruptcy? Well, suddenly I guess this evening, Bob Chapman, the International Forecaster, and Bob's with us every Monday afternoon and every Monday evening. Hope you're listening regularly, and we'll be back in just a moment to wrap up tonight's program right here at Radio Liberty.